Hi guys, there's something I realised while sitting in a hospital bed at 3 o'clock in the morning. Hospital life and prison life are actually very similar. Now, before anybody jumps into the comments, I'm obviously not saying they are the same thing completely. What I'm saying is this: the routine, the structure, the isolation, the mindset, the discipline, the battle inside your head, they all felt very similar to me. And what really hit me was this: the biggest prison I've ever lived in was never a prison building. It was my own mind. A lot of people watching this right now are trapped mentally, not physically, mentally. Some of you are sitting in your own homes feeling trapped. Some of you are drinking too much, taking drugs, escaping reality, overthinking, feeling anxious, feeling hopeless. And I want you to understand something. You might already be holding the key to your freedom. You just don't realise it. My hospital experience. The first time I was ever away from home properly was in 2002. I was 19 years old. I crushed my right foot in a road traffic accident. At the time, I genuinely believed I was in the worst place in the world. I was in hospital. I had an infection. Doctors were talking about amputation. I was scared, angry, lost. But looking back now, as an older man, I realised something. I was actually in one of the safest places in the world. The problem wasn't the hospital. The problem was my mindset. Nobody locked me mentally in a dark place except me. My recent hospital experience a few weeks ago. Fast forward right to recently. I went in for reconstructive surgery. Everything went well. I got home, thought everything was sweet. Then I picked up an infection and reacted badly and physically and mentally to the medication and everything going on. I ended up spending nearly 12 nights in hospital, around 35 IV drips, 35 sedations, antibiotics constantly pumping through me, blood being taken from me. And honestly, there were moments my thoughts became darker than the actual physical pain. But this time was different, because this older version of me understood something the younger version didn't. Routine and discipline saves lives. The routine in hospital: every single morning at 6 a.m, the nurses came in with my IV drip. Same time, every day. Then around 6:30 a.m, they came back with medication to calm me down, remove the IV, because after the antibiotics wore off, a few hours later, my mind would start racing. Paranoia, intrusive thoughts, suicidal thoughts, anxiety, depression. The crisis team understood exactly what was happening. And I'd say something, honestly, that I think needs said more. A lot of people don't actually have lifelong mental health problems. A lot of people are mentally and chemically exhausted from prescription drugs, abusing drink, drugs, lack of sleep, poor nutrition, and just emotional chaos. They are not returning to baseline mentally. They are dropping below baseline. And that's when dangerous thoughts happen. The similarities to prison. As I sat there in the hospital, I started noticing how similar everything felt to prison. At 8 a.m, the staff would come in and change. Exactly like prison officers Prison officers will change shifts. Breakfast arrived at the same time every morning. Lunchtime, same time. Dinner time, same time. Everything structured. Everything routine based. And weirdly enough, that routine in prison helped me, because structure creates stability, and stability creates safety. Like the habits saved me. The nurses offered to bed wash me. I said no. Not disrespectfully, but because my habits matter. I wash myself. I brush my teeth. I make my own bed. They even told me not to make the bed because that was their job, but I said no again, because discipline is part of my identity now. Them small habits. Nobody is taking that away from me. They offered me a wheelchair too. I refused that as well. Yes, I used crutches, but moving around was still a physical activity to me, even though I couldn't get to the gym. And physical activity matters massively for mental health. Even making my bed became a form of discipline and movement. That's what prison taught me. And that's what hospital reminded me. Like personal development, guys, self-development, whatever you want to call it. During the afternoons, I worked on myself. I done nutrition plans, marketing work, took phone calls, watched educational videos, shared my story online, exactly the same way I survived in prison. In prison, I worked in the gym. I read books, listened to music, wrote letters to loved ones, set goals. One of them being I'd open a gym when I got out. I realised something powerful years ago. You can either use isolation to destroy yourself, or you can use it to rebuild yourself. The prison inside your head, and this is the most important part of this whole video. The prison inside your own head is far more dangerous than the physical prison, because people can walk around free every single day while mentally imprisoned by fear, addiction, trauma, anxiety, depression, low self-worth, destructive habits. The physical location is not always a problem. Sometimes the mindset is the problem. And sometimes changing your habits changes your entire life. You know, the power of routine. Routine saved me. Structure saved me. Discipline saved me. People laugh at habits like making your bed, waking up early, training, checking in above, eating properly, journaling, reading. But these little things become anchors during chaos. When life falls apart, habits hold you together. That's why people with no structure often spiral mentally, because chaos grows in the absence of discipline. Now listen, I never want to go back to prison. It's not cool. It's not glamorous. It destroys lives. And by the grace of God, I hope I never return there. But what prison gave me was mental resilience. It taught me how to survive discomfort, how to survive routine, how to survive isolation, how to survive myself. And hospital recently reminded me of all those lessons again. Now my final message here is, guys, so if you're watching this right now and mentally struggling, please understand this. You are not trapped forever. You've got the key to the prison inside your own mind to open that door. And your life can genuinely change with one decision, one habit, one thought, one action repeated daily. Everything starts with a thought and everything ends with a thought. Guys, thanks for watching. And if you need any help, click the link in my bio or in this description and book a free call. Not to be sold, not to be pressured, but just to find more clarity. And if we are a fit, we can work together one-to-one. And if not, as I said, you will leave with more clarity. Thanks for watching.